Hello, I'm Miss Lynn. I'm a member of the Arlington County Spellbinders. I'm going to tell you a story called Tops and Bottoms, and I hope you enjoy it. This is an adaptation of a story by Jane Yolen, and it's an African folktale. Bear and Hare were friends, at least Bear thought so, but Hare knew she was nothing more than Bear's servant. They had an agreement that Hare was allowed to plant crops all over Bear's field, and they were supposed to share equally in the harvest. But in reality, Bear took most of the crops. Hare had complained once to Bear, who was much bigger than she was and very scary, but he had threatened to throw her off his land. So this year, Hare told her children, "This cannot go on. This year things will have to be different." Hare's oldest child said, "But Mother, what can we do? If Bear takes any more of our crop, we will surely starve." So Hare said, "Let me think about it." So she thought, and she thought. Finally, she went to Bear's house and knocked on the door. Bear said sleepily, "Come in." "Bear," Hare said, "this year things will have to be different. This year I will plant crops all over the field, and one of us will get the tops and the other will get the bottoms, and no complaints." "No complaints, I like the sound of that, but I don't trust you. Who chooses?" "You do," Hare said. Bear said, "Tops." They shook paws, and Bear went back to sleep. That spring, Hare planted carrots all over the field, and soon there were green tops coming up from the ground, and Bear strolled by and saw that the crop was growing well, and he said, "Hare, don't forget, I get all the tops." And Hare said, "You bet, and I get all the bottoms." At the end of the summer, Hare harvested all the carrots. She took the edible roots, and she sold half the carrots, and she kept the other half for she and her children to eat all winter long. She gave the green feathery tops to Bear, who was not pleased. He growled, and it was a little scary. He said, "You fooled me. Next year I get all the bottoms." Hare said, "All right, as long as I get all the tops." They shook paws, and Bear went off to sleep. The next spring, Hare planted beans, and the vines grew so fast that Hare had to put up a lattice fence, and the bean vines grew and twined along the fence toward the light. And Bear came by and looked at the crop and said, "Don't forget, Hare, I get all the bottoms." And she said, "Yes, and I get all the tops." And at the end of the summer, Hare harvested all the beans, and she sold half of them, and she kept the other half for her and her children to eat all winter long. And she gave the roots to Bear, who was not happy at all, and he growled, and it was very scary. He said, "You fooled me again. Next year I get the tops and the bottoms." Hare said, "All right, as long as I get what's in between." So they shook paws on it, and Bear went off to sleep. The next spring, Hare planted field corn, and the roots grew deep and the stalks grew high, and Bear came by to inspect the crop, and he saw what was growing, and he saw what he liked what he saw. He reminded Hare, "I get the tops and the bottoms." And Hare said, "Yes, and I get what's in between." So at the end of the summer, Hare harvested the crops. She gave the roots to Bear, said bottoms. She gave the stalks to Bear and said tops. And she kept all the ears of corn. She sold half the corn, and she kept the other half for her and her children to eat all winter long. Bear was not happy. He growled and showed his teeth, but there was nothing he could do. Hare had only done what she said she would do, and he had agreed to it. So he went to bed hungry that winter. Now, Hare and her children had gotten so much money from selling the carrots and the beans and the corn that they were able to buy their own piece of land the next spring, and they could plant whatever they wanted, and they lived happily ever after, living on their own crops. I hope you enjoyed that story.